It's Mike Brennan, another segment on our February 19th edition of MITech TV. Have Phillipp Emma on from PSN Technology. He's been on a couple times before. My business partner in another endeavor flagged me that he was putting out a survey to, I think, his customer base and also reaching out to other folks that would be interested in learning more about how to protect themselves from the bad guys out there on the internet. So you got a survey going on. Why don't you talk a little bit about that survey, Philip?
Well, Mike and Matt, thank you again for having me on. Certainly appreciate it. And what we were hoping to do is find out from our customer base where they're at with their cyber needs, how they feel about where cybersecurity is at within their office complex, as well as with them in general, so we can get a better job of finding out where the gaps are and help them close those if possible.
All right.
Okay.
So how do people participate in that survey then?
Well, actually, we have it set up on our website at PSNTech.com. Certainly, it's a top link right there that they can get to, and certainly fill that out. And we'll be happy to respond and take a look and see what where they're at with that.
All right. Tell us a little bit about PSN. The company. How far back does it go? Who started it? That kind of thing. And then a little bit about how your organization ensures cybersecurity protection for customers.
Certainly. Thank you, man. We go back. This is an iteration of another company. Well, actually, two companies made up of Globally LLC and East North Communications that became PSN Technology in 2016. And basically, with that, we are an MSP, managed services provider on one side, and a telecom on the other. So we're able to provide internet services as well as phone systems, voice over IP, as well as the managed services and infrastructure cabling. Basically, meet your needs as a small mid-sized business for technology as it gets there. So that's what we deliver to our folks today. And one of the big pieces, obviously, for cybersecurity is a big, as we probably just heard, is a big catch-all. And there's certain components of that need to be aware of that. So there's things, obviously, on the human side, the human factor resource. There's the technology for the hardware, the software that comes into play as well. So those things need to be looked at in multiple stages. So in order to protect some customers, the best way to do that is, one, making sure your patches are up to date. I mean, that's your basic that you can do. If you're using Microsoft or any other things, make sure you do your patches as they come along. Make sure you have the items that are there. Now, antivirus has migrated as well. There's a big change to what's called endpoint detection and response. And that comes in somewhat of some different flavors. So endpoint detection response, what it's capable of versus antivirus. As you know, antivirus, you have to go and do your updates. You have to run your antivirus in order to make that work for you and catch those items. Endpoint detection response is a live online software that looks at everything all the time. So these things is intended to catch those. It's able to also to look at and reverse items with one-click remediation if it gets there. Also able to send up a flag and say, hey, I'm infected, I need help, and cut you off from the rest of the network. So those are the new pieces. Then there's an advanced layer to that called the MDR, which is a managed detection and response, where somebody's watching 24/7 like a security officer and watching to see what the issues pop up. And if they do, they're able to cut that unit off from the rest of the group, if you will. But again, it's layered. So with cybersecurity, it's a layered approach to protect yourself. You have to look at your, as we said, the antivirus or the EDR. You have to look at backup solutions that make sense, the incremental, of course, that are offsite, as well as able to recover those items as you need to get to them. And then you also have to take a look at your hardware. You have to look at your firewall as well. And a lot of times, people say, okay, Comcast advertises a great process and they have security, but you have to turn it on. And some of those things aren't turned on by default. So putting a good firewall that has a stateful inspection, that has some remediation available to you as you're trying to surf or your employees are trying to surf, will help to mitigate some of those items.
Yeah.
All right, what factors influence the survey, influence the decision to create a customer-facing survey?
Well, a lot of them is the fact that a lot of our customers, think they're safe. They feel that they're okay, and also it's one of those that everything's great until something happens, and then all of a sudden it's like, why didn't you tell me, or why didn't that happen? So I want to dig a little deep, in some cases, a little deeper into where their mindset is, where their thoughts are as far as how they feel that they're being protected currently, as well as what may be out there, as I said, that need remediation and need some updates and changes to that. So a lot of times they say, well, we don't want to replace that firewall, or we don't want to replace that switch, and they forget to update it. So that becomes a key vulnerability in the overall infrastructure.
All right. So when the survey comes out, how is that going to point out what some of the issues out there that people may not be dealing with, and how to deal with them, or exactly what is it going to do?
Well, it's going to present to us exactly that, of what the issues are currently out there that we feel that we can then help them or assist with them to have a conversation to say, hey, these are where some of your vulnerabilities may be, and identify some of the areas that they're open to cyber threat.
So the best defense, I want to talk about remote backup for just a minute. The best defense against ransomware is backup frequently, and that way, if they encrypt your data and tell you have to pay to get it, you can thumb your nose at them and say, "I've already got it, thanks." And
Thank you
so
very
you can
much.
go pound,
Yeah.
you can go pound sand. So, but given the increasing reliance on remote work, how has that affected backup systems, and how do you do remote backup effectively?
Well, and again, for the remote worker, typically they're going to dial into the service either online, in the cloud, or someplace not at their PC, if you will, in most cases. So both basically, if you're backing up their work, and again, backups typically, it depends. I mean, some do it by once a day, where we do incremental backups based on the changes for that day. And some places where they're a lot more vulnerable based on their information, we do it hourly. So there's actually hourly incremental backups that are occurring to see what the delta is, or the change in the percentage. So for the remote worker, it's a little bit more difficult, because again, theirs more so is the isolation that you need to create when they first dial into being the remote worker, and dial into your space to make sure that they're not able to, or their home computer is not able to draw down some of the information, some of the other pieces that you want to keep safe, or protect, if you will.
And so, who are you aiming these surveys at? Give me an idea or range of the companies that you'd like to. Would it be anybody that wants to respond? Would it be a specific subset? What are you looking at?
And again, I would encourage anyone to take a look at that and respond. So generally, anybody and everybody. But again, small to mid-size that feel that they don't have a good IT practice, or a good stack of their information and their cyber protection, that they're not comfortable with just getting it from your local service provider, or somebody to manage that for them. A lot of small to mid-sized businesses are very vulnerable, because obviously they don't expect some of these things to happen. We just found out, as an example, through going through our own with a chamber issue, where all of a sudden nobody knew who had what password, or who had what access to what area, who was controlling pieces of their information, which is a big thing today. I mean, some folks don't know how to get to the domain, how to get to your email access, things like that.
Okay. And if somebody wants to fill out the survey, again, it's on your website, right?
That's correct. It's on PSNTech.com. Right at the top, there's a link to fill out the survey, and certainly happy to have all respondents, and we'll reach out and touch base with them and help start a conversation.